Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
to please remain standing as we acknowledge those people that have given their lives both overseas and here in America. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight once again. Are there any public comment on agenda items? Liaison department head reports. Treasurer. Not up there yet. Wastewater.
October, average volume, 500,000 gallons a day, 5.35 inches of precipitation. Facility met all New York State speedies limitations. Pelwood Lane, pump stations, Havens Road, facility checked regularly, operating properly. 22.9 tons of digested sludge processed through the filter press by Inspector Serv and filter press in operation 8 days. Water plant began settling the basin drain in Washdown on October 29th. No adverse effects on wastewater treatment facility. Chief John Jones met with Mayor Flynn on the 10th. Attended department head meeting on the 14th. Met with homeowners of Lake Street with Chief Water Plant Operator Kevin Hurst about a service lateral problem. I believe that problem is going to be resolved. Repaired and maintenance, oil grit removal system, Lock Pump Inc. installed new motor and Cornell grit pump. Bell filter press installed new drain piping on polymer mixing tank. Sanitary sewer system marked out four sewer mains during the month as per UFPL notices. TAM Enterprises Inc. jet vac truck in village 4.5 days for semi-annual cleaning and flushing of various sewer mains throughout the village. Maintenance and lubrication of pumps, motors, and machinery as required. Maintenance of buildings and grounds as time allows, 23 days. Man hours lost due to sick, vacation, personal leave, and compensatory leave time, 8 days. Gas consumption, 80 gallons. That's it.
Okay. Treasurer's report. Treasurer?
He's here.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and trustees. Couple topics for today. The financial revenue expense control reports were produced. They're available for your inspection. I did want to discuss just quickly about the overtime. There are some departments where their overtime is well past that 6-month point that we were talking about. So I would like the board to consider maybe some options with that, especially maybe some directives to the department heads about the fact that, you know, the funds aren't there, they're gonna have to find ways to get the job done and not necessarily use overtime. The annual audit with Nugent and Hauser is in progress. We had a kickoff this morning. They were provided with all the necessary documents that they require. And we'll be getting updates, and I'll be getting updates. I'll be checking in with them on Wednesday just to see if there's any questions or anything that they need in addition to the list of items that we provided them. We have some receivables due that I'm kind of unaware of the status. I was kind of expecting some of these receivables and they're not there. The board, obviously, in agreement with the town, approved the water agreement and offered a higher gallonage. I think part of that agreement was a $95,000 payment to the village water fund. There's been no funds received. So I just want to throw out to the board that I think the contingency on that was the agreement was in the support of the agreement was that financial instrument. So maybe follow up with the town board as to the status of that is in order, since I think this agreement was approved several months ago. We do have obviously some other payments that are coming in. There's some insurance money and some, this all is related to the sewer fund, and then chips and so on. Other revenues coming in that will get into the appropriate accounts. But I do want to stress that when I'm looking at the receivables and looking at the expenditures, I think the austerity that the board approved last meeting is important and necessary, and I think we're going to need to look at that for a while, okay? Budget considerations, I did want to talk to the board about, in lieu of the fire department and trustee Murphy, I did see the letter here from the chief to yourself. It seems to go in line with what my recommendation would be. The reserve funds that were established by the board in the budget are there, but the board hasn't yet established the reserve funds legally. I think with the financial constraints that we've had with a lot of these unanticipated expenses, it probably makes sense for us to hold off on establishing all those reserve funds legally until we're closer to the end of the fiscal year, so we know our financial status. But, I'm sorry.
Oh, but I agree with what you're saying, and I think it does make sense for us to take that route, because what many people may not realize is that we had a major repair to one of our 2 engines that ran something like $36,000. We were setting up a reserve for a new major piece of equipment, new engine. So since we have now effectively, I hope, extended the life of our existing engine, I personally can justify taking money from that tentative reserve and applying it, because the fire department has provided me with that letter that you're talking about, in compliance with our new policy of any expenditure over $500 needs the liaison approval in advance. And to the fire company's credit, they really have taken strong measures to identify what is absolutely needed for safety purposes and what may be able to be carried over next year, but we still have some significant needs.
Yeah, so reading the letter and with my previous thoughts, I do think it's supportable to consider the $25,000 reserve that's in the budget, to maybe utilize some of those funds to buttress up your 04 spending account in the fire department. And the request here says approximately $20,000. And the listing here is items that are have-to-haves, not nice-to-haves. So my recommendation is if the board feels that these items are all items that are in fact necessary, that a transfer from the reserve, budgeted reserve for the fire department truck be moved into the fire department 04, which is your contractual. And that will allow the fire department to be able to maintain their financial stability for the rest of the year, hopefully. But right now, we're about $3,000 over budget. And again, all understood. A piece of equipment had to be repaired, vital service that's needed for the village. This is maybe the best way to work around. And hats off to this board by deciding to go the reserve fund route, that you have this option that is actually out there to be able to do. So I would recommend the board take action on that. There also is an outstanding, and I forwarded an email to Kevin Hurst. I'm still needing that information on the loader, because I believe the insurance company is underpaid what their obligation is on this repair, and materially it could be about $10,000. So as soon as I get that, we'll be able to follow back up with the insurance company and have them pay what I believe is a necessary insurance requirement that they have. Okay, that's pretty much it for right now. I do have a couple issues financially that are related to contractual and personnel that I'd like to bring up in an executive session if the board decides to do that. Okay,
Thank you very much. Are you hanging for comments?
I'm sorry?
Are you staying or?
Yeah, I'll stay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Fire.
Fire, well, I just addressed a major issue on the happier side of the docket. December 6th is the vendor fair, great place to purchase Christmas gifts. The vendor fair on December 6th is hosted by the Fire Department Auxiliary. And also, the fire department has been very proactive in trying to, and successfully getting grants. Eric Smith has been a dynamo on that front. Thanks to a federal grant, the fire department just purchased another 300 fire detectors. And that program of not only providing detectors with a 10-year battery, but we also install them, and we're steadily working down the list. If you haven't seen us yet to install the fire detectors, you will soon. And I think that's it.
Mayor's report. I'm gonna move the art walk down into new business, so we'll talk about that then. And I will also put plans for progress down there, we'll talk about that. Okay, consolidation. Consolidation will be the topic of discussion for the next year and a half, at least. Because that's what we're doing, and that's what we're going to focus on. There are several other major projects we're working on in this town and village. The consolidation is going to be the primary goal. I have not heard any negative comments firsthand, but third and fourth hand, some of the residents are concerned that they're going to lose control, and they're going to lose some of the nice amenities that they get in the village if we only have the town government. I can guarantee nothing, with the exception of that's not what I see. I see us getting more. We have to change the mindset in this village and town. The village, like quite honest, we are 2/3 of the town. This is an anomaly. Very rarely is a village the larger portion of a town. Usually you have 2 to 3 villages in a huge town, and every piece is smaller or less than half of the whole. The village of Highland Falls is 2/3 of the town. We need the consolidation. Why? One, we're gonna save tax dollars, fact. Two, we're gonna get money from the state, not on just savings. They're going to give us up to $1 million a year after full consolidation. This is not coming from me, this is coming from the gentleman from the state that came down and met with the town board and the village board. Okay, that's $1 million a year to not just offset taxes, but money left over after offsetting taxes can be used for projects that haven't been done in 20 years that we need in the town and the village. Now, there was an article in the paper, got a couple phone calls on it. I did not call our police department mediocre. Okay, there was a comment about mediocrity, saying mediocre. The structure is mediocre. When you have 2 small groups, you have to have the same thing in both groups at the minimum. When we combine them, we are going to have a much better department. Just one small piece of that better department, right now, there is no sergeants in the town. There is, at this time, there's only 1 sergeant in the village. The new proposal will give us a minimum of 3 to 4 sergeants in the community, which is huge for oversight and very needed. Another large piece for the village. Right now, the village has a part-time detective, meaning that on a Thursday afternoon, he's a detective. And when we need it, when there's an actual issue. We don't have a needed full-time detective if not a full-time and a part-time, to address issues throughout the week, throughout the year. Which means half of the problems get put on the back burner and forgotten about until there's another huge issue that erupts. This is what we're talking about for a police department. We're talking about the same people. We have good people. They are not getting the training that they need because they are running on empty trying to do the minimum within the village and within the town. Once we have a combined force, sit back a little bit, look at what's going on, and we can do it better. I'm not saying we're not doing it well now. We will do it better. And for less money. We will also get up to, if we qualify, $400,000 just for consolidating the police, a one-time from the state. That will help us in updating the police building, vehicles, equipment, whatever we deem necessary. Now, I'm a villager. Am I gonna lose power? No. Because if one person shows up to the village meeting or comes to Village Hall and says, this is a problem, we need to deal with it, they have power. If they come down to the town hall and say this is a problem, we need to deal with it, they have the same power. The better thing about one government, on top of the money that we're gonna save, the more efficient government, is the fact that there is only one. Right now, to fill 2 boards, you need 10 qualified people. Qualified. Tough to find in a small community. When I say qualified, I'm not gonna turn this way. I'm gonna turn this way. People that have more time than they should, because they don't care about their own life, and they give that time up and spend it on the village. And this guy does too, but this one is out of control, okay? To find these people, to find the people on the, I want the best out of 10. So when we go to the polls, who's the best? Why? Because the people that actually care about the town and the village, when they lose, they will still stay involved. We'll have extra people. But we don't need 10 people making a decision. You can have the best 5 qualified. Now we can start looking at the school, which is totally unlooked at by this community. And they need our help too. Now instead of 3 boards, we have 2 boards we're dealing with. It's a necessity, and we're gonna continue to push it. What have we done? This week we're putting in for the $25,000 grant for the study. It will help us, but I think we may stay ahead of the curve of the grant. The gentleman from the state felt that we were on a fast track of faster meaning it's not gonna take us 3 to 5 years fast. It's still gonna take us minimum 6 months to a year and a half for the police department. And I'm hoping after that, things will move a lot quicker. Because until we get fully consolidated, we will not see the $800,000 to $1 million from the state. We will get several $100,000 for each department consolidation, one time. But the yearly coming from the state will only come after we fully consolidate. Okay? So we're putting in for the $25,000 grant, we're working on that this week. As far as the police, now that's for the entire study, not just police. Our chief is gonna be working with Chief Quinn, and they've already met several times on the force, the police. Now they're gonna meet on vehicles and equipment. I am going to be putting together a small committee on the building. There are several options as I see it now, but we will work with whoever wants to, myself, one other village person, 1 or 2 from the town, as well as our engineer, building inspector, and 1 or 2 other people. We'll be working on what's feasible. Right now, I only see 3 options. This building, the town hall, or a 3rd building. Those are the 3 options. That's what we're gonna start with, unless someone comes up with something different. That's what we're gonna move to. A lot of this is not rocket science. A lot of it's been done in the past in other towns and communities. We're gonna use that information and make it for ourselves. But we don't need to sit around for 5 to 10 years thinking about it. We need to do it, and then if there needs to be a change, we change it. Charlie neglected to mention, which she may or not, met with our county planner, along with our building inspector, to talk about another thing that's been way overdue. And that is the combining of our codes. It's a huge issue when our building inspector, well, what happened, where did it happen, what street? Because I gotta make sure I'm using the right code book. Am I using the town code book, I'm using the village code book. So the two guys in the building department are constantly juggling books when you don't need it. It's another thing that we're working on consolidation. Charlie had met with David Church, who is going to help us do that. And again, here's a beautiful thing. Reaching out to David Church for Main Street revitalization, he was down here several weeks ago with Senator Larkin and Maloney's office and a couple other groups to talk about Main Street revitalization. Now David is now actively involved with us. That is another thing that we are doing as a board, is reaching out beyond the village. That's something that's been very needed, more and more. David Church could have said, okay, no problem, do what you gotta do. No. Because we reached out, because Charlie made the extra efforts and has the connections, their office has volunteered to help us free to put the codes together. They're not gonna do it all, but their office is gonna help us coordinate it. That's huge, and that's something that has been needed for years. Those are some of the things that we're doing right now as far as consolidation. As far as the DPW, it's not put to bed right now. It is a little bit on the back burner because we're trying to push the police forward first. But we are still talking DPW and looking at how's the best way to put them, to consolidate them as well. Community forum. After Thanksgiving, I'd like to have the first community forum on consolidation, because I think it's important that no matter how many times you say it, people still don't get it. So we have to continuously, it's educating the public. I know that when the public gets all the information and understands all the information, the majority of these people will run to the polls and vote for consolidation. It's that simple. It's that good. But it's getting them the information. And it's also clearing up misconceptions. Well, if everyone's gonna lose their job if we consolidate. No. That is exactly why we're doing it the way we're doing it, is so no one loses their job. That's our goal. Well, we're gonna lose this, we're gonna lose that. No. The goal is efficient, effective government at a better pay rate for this village and this town. For those people that think everything's fine, everything is not fine. People are still looking at North Carolina and South Carolina on a regular. People that have lived here, families that lived here 5, 6 generations, are now gone because they can't afford to live here. I can't be a part of something where we don't do something about it. It's not about just fixing 1 or 2 things. It's not about repairing a couple roads, this, that, the other thing. We need major reconstruction of our government and our community. And it's already here. I just got stopped by someone from the city. This is the only place he comes. He has relatives here, but he won't go anywhere else. What a great town you have, what a great village you have. This is the best place. Why? Well, our location's phenomenal, but we don't use it. There is one reason why I feel this is one of the best towns. It is the people. We've already got it. We've already got the main ingredient. We have just got to fix the structure, and that's it. We got to fix a couple of our roads, fix a couple of the way we do the government, and we're done. We've got the location, one of the best locations in the county, let alone Tri-County. We've got phenomenal people that care about each other. As much as they fight, they will get together in certain times and make sure this town and village come together. If you're in a family with more than 2 people, you know you're fighting all the time anyway. Okay? We will fight, but we will come together for the community, and that's what we have to do. And not in 3 to 6 years. In a year, 2 years. We have got to finish this. Why? Because we have a lot more to do. Consolidation is the beginning. Then we work on West Point. They're not bad people either. They just don't know us. They don't know who we are. Once we introduce ourselves as one government, we have our stuff together. Now, welcome to our community. Why? Because they're in our community. They're part of the town. The reason why they don't know us is because we're so busy with each other, fighting, village and town, and no one knows West Point's part of our town. That's our next step. Moving on, because I'll be here all day. Why'd you let me do that? Okay, we just did the food drive. The bags are out. I couldn't have asked for a better group to come out and help. A lot of calls last minute. We'll be there. I have to publicly thank Andrea, Denise, and Tiffany Gibney and the confirmation class, Sarah Kelly and her family, the Sakanic family, Marty Burns and the ambulance corps, and John and Pat and Kieran from the Cub Scouts, and the other volunteers that came out to help drop the bags off. Next week will be the pickup. If you did not receive a bag, you can just put a bag out. We're starting at noon on Sunday for pickup. This is the last year we will only be doing this town. Starting in January, the group is gonna go, we've already talked to the county executive and several other people in the county. We're gonna go for a countywide food drive. That's the other thing. We have probably one, in my opinion, one of the best volunteerism communities around. But half the time with some of our efforts, it gets dropped because there's so much, and it's the same people, 9 times out of 10, doing everything. Well, we can, when we're together, be a beacon for this county and beyond of what you can accomplish when you work together. So, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for us to be on that side. We will show the county we can do it. Thank you again to those people. Happy Thanksgiving. I know it's early, but I don't think we're gonna meet before then. And if we are, I'll probably forget. So I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Please be safe. The one thing I am gonna ask is if there are people in our community that we are unaware of that need help, need a little something for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or just need help in any other way, communication has gotta happen better. So please get a hold of the village. The people that need it will rarely ask. That's a problem. If your neighbor or friend needs a little help, let us know, because we need to be there for them. We had a meeting in the city, very frightening, going down to New York City, meeting with a lot of different lawyers. We had a meeting in the city on consolidation. Several different areas of consolidation. Very, very good meeting. Brought back a lot of great information and some more partners to help us to move forward on some major projects in this community. And when we have more information, you will have it. I have to bring up the center. Once again, that'll always be a piece of our discussion here in the village because of the phenomenal moves that the center is continuously making. Out of nowhere it came up, and the support that's pouring in, not enough financial, throw it out there, don't think it is. But everyone now is focusing on, what can I do, can I go to the center? Does that mean that their plate is full? No. If you wanna help, you need to get there, you need to talk to Brian Allward or Ann Molina. Okay, because there's always room. To my understanding, only because it's gonna be coming up in the next couple weeks, several people at the center do wanna coordinate a toy drive for the holidays, for the Christmas holidays. We are gonna maintain a box here because we're open more than the center is, but it'll be for the center. So we will maintain a box for toys here at the village. They are going to 1 or 2 other locations for the toys, and then they will handle distribution and whatnot. And I wanna thank them again for heading that up. I want to thank, I talked to Eric Smith for a few minutes today with the fire department. And Eric, along with Charlie, with several other people in the fire department, we couldn't be luckier in this community to have these people that are so passionate about a better fire department every day, looking, what can I do to make it better? I'm doing this, I'm doing that. The one thing I did ask from Eric, as I'm asking from all the department heads, is it's great that you're doing well. It's not enough. Do better. Every day. You can do something better. And I believe that the department heads are starting to meet the challenges and saying, maybe I can. Maybe 10 more minutes, I'll do this. Or I'll do this, or I'll look for a grant, or I'll bring money in, or I'll talk to someone. I see growth in our department heads, and I'm very proud of them. I'm hoping I can have specifics for you as we go down the line. But when you ask for it, we're getting it. As far as the community, I realize my number is out there, my phone number, but you don't need to call me. You can call the village directly, you can call the police department directly, you can call the DPW directly. If it's a DPW issue, call the DPW. If you don't get satisfaction, then you can call me. It's kind of like coming to a meeting. If you have an issue, try to deal with it before the meeting. If you don't get satisfaction, come to the meeting. Yell at us. We signed up for it. It's the way it is. I do have to give, we had Veterans Day this past week. Great turnout at the firehouse. I have to thank the American Legion and Mr. Zombrowski for putting it together. People think that that's a village event. It is not. It is an American Legion event. They're the ones that host it. They're the ones that put everything together. They made it happen. They call out to different groups to be a part of it, which is the way it should be. You shouldn't be doing it all. You should use 5 or 6 groups in the community. They call the village for one thing. They call the JROTC for another. They had Tom Kinane and the band was there. Phenomenal. They sounded great. Cub Scouts gave out cookies. That was kind of cool. I dug that. But I want to thank the American Legion for hosting that and doing a phenomenal job. I want to do a quick thank you to my wife and kids as they put up with me being here. And a report. Discussion. Burrard Place traffic. Do we have any information on that? Whoa! Absolutely. To me.
Yeah, as soon as Sergeant Troy went and took a look at the road that we were brought to our attention, and there are a couple of spots on the west side that we are gonna probably put a request for the board to pass a resolution to do a no parking zone. And that'll help free up the traffic that goes through there, and if there's any pedestrians walking through there, it'll give them some place to walk instead of going head on with the vehicles, so. I'll be coordinating with the DPW supervisor, and we'll do the measurements and all that, and I'll forward you guys the memo.
So it'll be parking on the east side only, is that?
Yeah, there's just a small area.
Along the wall
where there's,
there.
yeah, there's already a no parking zone on the west side, correct? We just wanna extend it a little bit.
Yeah,
And it'll
it-
take us right around that choke point that was referenced in the email.
What you're saying is like the house that's on the corner of Walnut and
There's a brick
Burrard?
house right there.
Yeah, okay, that's where there'll be no parking,
Yeah.
okay.
Good to go?
Yeah, that actually came about, and this is why we say, as Mr. McCormick always said, you see something, say something. That came about because 1 or 2 citizens reached out to Charlie and said, this is a problem. Charlie reached out to the chief. They can't be in every spot. They can't be in every spot in the town when at 3 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, at 11 o'clock. It has to be a village effort. It's got, if there's an issue, you've got to get it to us, get it to the chief, get it to a board member, get it to DPW, it will be taken care of, just like now. Very easy, very quick, done. And I thank you guys for the quick response to a problem. Just real quick, free lunch, how can you beat it? United Methodist Church of Highlands having free lunch on November 22nd, 11:30 to 1. That's right on Main Street. Yes, there will be hot soup. Family Fun Night, Friday, November 21st, 6 to 8. The Highland Falls Intermediate School, open to families of grades K to 8. You do not have to attend. Anyone can come. Families grades K to 8. For an evening of fun, games, activities, the entire family, pizza and drink included. And that is November 21st on Friday. Family Fun Night at the Intermediate School. Also, and these are things that need to be, people don't understand the quality of this community because nobody knows. Nobody's talking about it. Gabrielle O'Donnell is a senior at O'Neill. She will be performing the Nutcracker at the O'Neill High School on Saturday, December 6th at 7 p.m., Sunday, December 7th at 2:30 p.m. Gabby is the daughter of Janine and Mike O'Donnell of Highland Falls, right here on Main Street. You can get your tickets at www.ocbt, and I'm going to say this and you're not going to remember it, but you will read in the paper, and not her first rodeo. If you've read the paper, you've known that she's been doing this for years. These are the people in our community. And they're everywhere. That's one of the reasons why I was upset with Eric Smith this afternoon. He's telling me 15 different things that he and the other firefighters are doing to save us money, and nobody knows it. I'm not looking for you to pat yourself on the, and what I was saying was, I'm not looking for you to pat yourself on the back, but come budget time, if you don't tell us you're helping with saving money, I'm cutting your budget. Fact. But if you show us, I saved you $10,000 here, I saved you $20,000, I saved you $5,000, you're gonna get more of what you're asking for. So, Eric Smith and the fire department, kudos to the ones that are putting the effort forward for the community. But that is Saturday, December 6th, Sunday, December 7th, and it's very special because it's not always happening at O'Neill.
Usually at Monroe Woodbury.
It's usually at Monroe Woodbury, they pushed it, they got it here, and she's actually very, very good. So if you get a chance, get those tickets. Is this another up here? Sunday, November 23rd, 4 p.m. Ecumenical Thanksgiving service at the United Methodist Church. That's Sunday, November 23rd at 4 p.m. Ecumenical Thanksgiving service at the United Methodist Church. And that's right here on Main Street, 341. You have the free lunch, I love it. Sunday, November 23rd, very big day. One, it's gonna be split up a little bit, that's the day we pick up food, which is not gonna be an issue because we already have our people. But who needs people is Vision, and they only need a little help. They don't need that much. Vision has been doing the decorations in this community for years and doing a phenomenal job. The more people that help, the more beautiful this community is gonna be. Last year, they had some younger people step up. Finally, there were actually 4 people under the age of 80 helping out decorating last year. Okay? Vision is a great group. They have great programs. They're already set up. 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, get involved. We need you for an hour, 2 hours, and you will actually feel part of the community. Do it with your children. They will actually feel part of the community. Okay, we did one tree 2 years ago with my kids. They were ecstatic. Bring your kids, even if they can't do anything. Have them be part of beautifying this community. And that's Sunday, November 23rd. They're meeting at 10:30 at the library. If you missed the library, don't, oh man, missed them, going back to bed. No, main area is Lady Cliff Park and Memorial Park. There are 3 to 4 areas they're gonna be doing. If you just go up and down Main Street, you will find them. And they will be decorating for a good 2 to 3 hours. If you can only do 10 minutes, do 10 minutes. If you just wanna come by and drop off some donuts, drop off some donuts. I won't have them because I'm gonna be doing the food drive, but maybe I'll get some later.
Food drive's not till noon. We've got time.
Shh. Look, they're not gonna bring donuts if they know I'm there. Would you stop? All right, moving on. New business. I need a motion to approve the minutes as written in the regular meeting, November 3rd, 2014. Do I have a motion?
You do?
Second.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye. However, I'd like to make an amendment to the minutes from the October 20th meeting. It was on one of the new hires. I stipulated that there would be maximum probation and the hiring was contingent upon certification and civil service approval. Just civil service approval got in the minutes. But my stipulation was specific to police certification, so I
Okay.
do want that changed.
Good to go?
Yep.
Good to go?
Yes.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Cover the meters from December 1st, 2014 through January 1st, 2015. So I have a motion. Something we do every year, a little something for the holidays.
I make the motion. we cover
Have a motion.
the holidays.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to accept the resignation of Joseph Bizarres effective 11/14/14.
I'll move it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
You do?
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Joe's awesome. We love him. He has no time. He's a full-time manager, and if he's in the mood to come back, he's more than welcome. We need to approve me to sign the POTW notification application for sewage pollution right to know act. It's for publicly owned treatment works. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All's in favor?
I,
Opposed? Yes?
I'm good with that motion, but this notifies our neighbors if our sewage treatment overflows. Do we get notifications when West Point's treatment plant
Really?
overflows?
You're gonna open up that can? Wow. Let's look into that. Let's do that, that's the answer for me.
Well,
We'll look into
If
that.
it's gonna be on the computer and it's gonna be what this is all about, wouldn't you have some sort of software that would have all the people who say they're gonna dump at that point in time? And
I don't know
It's gotta
if the
be
government
something.
would be in the same thing as the regular municipalities. We'll have to look into it.
If they have the speedies permit, they've got to,
So you're saying they should have the same obligations as we do
to
as far
us,
as,
correct.
no, as far as to the state though?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially us being downstream.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have I need a motion to surplus one computer from the village hall to the historical society. Questions? No? Motion?
The computer, is it?
When we went to the new system, we upgraded
In the village hall.
in Village Hall, we ended up with two computers that are not that good. But Stella has a dinosaur. All she wants, she's not even looking to go on the internet or anything else, she just needs something to,
She doesn't need something that's current.
just a database, all her stuff.
Right, I was just
Uh,
wondering if it's gonna be.
It's not current, but it's more current than what she has.
Okay.
And that's what she wants, so it's great for us and great for her.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yeah.
Motion,
I'll make the motion.
second,
Second,
all's in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, if you have an agenda, yeah, we skipped it. Okay. Property maintenance bids. Any questions on the bids? Okay. This is to do the properties that have we passed a new law for, those properties that aren't keeping up their lawns and whatnot, now we're going in to take care of them, and we put on their taxes. John Hager has recommended village landscaping for several reasons. Do I have a motion?
Motion for neighbors landscaping?
Mm-hmm. Do
So moved.
I have a second? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have budget transfers. I have transfer from account number 6016077927 to account 831400178. That's a general fund under workman's comp, $10,000. It's to replenish the workman's comp. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All's in favor?
aye.
I have a budget transfer from account 235200037 to account 235200045, from the water fund to the sewer fund for $50,000 to repay the water fund from 10914 for borrowing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye. May I
Yes.
make a motion to release reserve funds under fire to pay for necessary expenses for the fire department?
Let's hold off on that. Only because, let's have Ed jump in and figure out exactly what we're talking about. I request from Orange County Ballet Theater fundraising on Main Street, Saturday, November 2nd, from 8 to 1. For those that have questions, there is a letter here. It's a pre-show, right? It's a fundraiser. This is for the Orange County Ballet Theater. And I understand there will be some activity going on there, so you want to get down on November 2nd, 22nd, and down Main Street from 8 to 1. It's a great cause, but they want permission so they can be on Main Street to do the fundraising. Questions?
Where in Main Street they're gonna have that?
We're on Main Street?
Yeah.
Well, they want to be, they say in their letter, by Dunkin' Donuts or the Highland Falls Market, and
Okay.
they're touch base with those businesses as well.
No problem.
They have the insurance.
They have
I saw the
insurance.
insurance.
There'll be in their dance
In their
costumes.
costumes.
That's what I was, yeah, did a little pre-show.
Great.
They're
Which
gonna
is
hand
nice.
out the flyers and they'll have donation cans, but they won't be in anybody's face to donate, you know, they're just gonna be
Okay.
there if you choose to.
And this is one of the things that we really need to encourage in our community, is the arts. So I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
You do.
Those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Speaking of the arts, the Art Walk is coming to the village. Eisenhower leadership is getting crazy over there, putting together a phenomenal collection of sculptures that are going to be displayed throughout the village. But I need a motion to set up an account similar to the 4th of July, so that, because they already have donors that are looking to donate to the Art Walk, but they don't have an account set up and they don't want to do it under their business. So they want to make sure everything's out in the open and everyone knows what's going on. So we're going to do similar thing to, as far as like the 4th of July, if the board is okay. All right? And we'll let Ed deal with that. Okay, do I have a motion to set up that account?
motion to let Ed set up that account.
Second?
I'm all for it.
Thank you. All's in favor?
I,
I need a motion to accept the resolution for the general election. Whereas the next general election will be held on March 18, 2015 for the Village of Highland Falls with the following office term thereof. 2 trustees to fill terms of 4 years each, and whereas no person shall be entitled to vote for any village election whose name does not appear on the register of the election district in which he or she claims to be entitled to vote. Now therefore be resolved that first, the purpose of this forthcoming general village election, the entire village shall constitute a single election district. Second, at least 4 months prior to the general village election, as set forth in this resolution, the village clerk shall, in accordance with section 15-104-3A of the New York State election law, publish in the official newspaper a copy of the resolution, and shall post a copy of this resolution in at least one conspicuous public place and in said village election district. Third, at least 10 days prior to the general village election, as set forth in this resolution, the village clerk shall, in accordance with section 15-104, sub 3-6 and 4 of the New York State election law, cause a public notice to be published and posted stating the poll place in said village election district, the hours to which polls should be open, the names and addresses of the candidates, offices and terms nominated, and abstract of any positions to be voted upon. Fourth, this resolution take place immediately. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Roll call, trustee Mellon,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
I,
Mayor Quinn.
Aye. Any motion to accept the bills and claims for the year 14-15 for the amount of $37,006.41?
I'll move it.
You sure?
Well, there are some notations on some of the vouchers that the department heads need to sign it, but they're aware of it.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All's in favor?
I,
Opposed? I need a motion to allow the mayor to sign the approval letter for Paths for Progress. It's up on the mayor's report, we moved it down to new business. Questions? Charlie?
no?
No. Do you wanna, you good?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanna,
I'm just.
excellent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All's in favor?
I.
Yep.
Do you
think that's
want
it.
to explain what it is?
And, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Mayor and I attended a brief meeting before Hudson Valley Pattern Progress had its big annual hoopla. They apparently have gotten a $400,000 Ford Foundation grant, with which they're doing a Hudson Valley City and Urbanized Village Center agenda. And we're taking the place of the city of Rye, and hopefully this will generate some help in addressing common causes among cities and urbanized downtown areas, so it can only
Yeah.
help.
That just happened. All right, is there a public comment? No, we are not. Ken Scott, come on down. We have the pleasure of doing something that has been looked forward to for several years. and even more so because of who we are doing it to. And that is getting back to 2 sergeants when we should have more, but we can only afford 2, which is why I want to consolidate. But I want to thank Ken Scott for continuously pushing me as soon as I got into office that we need it, we need it, we need it. And I told him we can't do it till someone passes. And took the test, passed it, very ready, very, very qualified. And I am ecstatic to ask Paul Troy, please come up. Do I have it? Do I have all this? Do I have, oh, that's right,
Yeah, we
yeah.
have to vote.
I was like, I don't have a resolution.
Blood wings.
I need a motion to appoint Paul Troy to the position of sergeant, effective date 12/20/14. Do I have that motion?
No, 11, 20,
I didn't say that?
you said 12.
I believe I did. I need a motion to appoint Paul Troy to the office of sergeant, to the rank of sergeant, effective date 11/20/14. Thank you, Gina.
I would be pleased to make that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Great. Just real quick, the mayor's right, I've been pushing him, and he's held to his word, and Officer Troy, I just want to say that, you know, I see that you have the support of the board, you know you have my support, I see you got the support of your family here who's anxiously waiting to go out and have dinner and celebrate. And with all that support behind you and all the good things that you do, you should have no problem finding the support of the citizens. Congratulations. The work starts Thursday. You and I have talked, and we got a lot of work to do, and I'm sure we're going to make this board and the citizens and your family very happy. Congratulations. Just get a photo op with the mayor. Don't get a photo op with the mayor.
Okay.
You two first. Let me get in there, it's double team.
That's right, yeah, I'm kind of half myself in here.
Anybody just go. Anybody?
Few
words?
Photo bomb that was.
Mr. Mayor, not a few words from Sergeant Troy?
Ooh, that's got a nice ring to it.
Well, of course,
Right.
I appreciate the support of the board and the mayor and the police chief as well. And this is something I've wanted since I first came here. And I'm just glad that it's now happening. And my job is to make this department better. And I expect everybody to hold me to that standard.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would also like to thank Paul's family for being here for support, because that's key. And that's gonna be key as we move forward. When we talk about that comment that was in the paper, this is part of the reason. Because we aren't able to give our police force what they really need for success. And that is more sergeants, more equipment, more whatever's needed because of the constraints of the budget. So this board is very happy that we're the least able to give them Paul as a sergeant, because that's gonna make a huge difference in the force here in the village. And I look forward to the great things they're gonna be able to do, because unfortunately, Ken and Jim Lavelle, 2 people, they only do so much. And they can't rely on the individual officers to do things that aren't in their scope. So now, look for even better. As good as it was, it'll be better. And then we'll move forward from there. Thank you. Public comment.
Do you want to do the fire department or after the executive session?
Executive session. No. Yeah, trustees.
Okay. I would like us,
Slow, but you can come.
there was discussion at the time that we increased the water rate about addressing the sewer rate.
Mhm.
And at that time, it was determined that a more detailed study will be done, and a reduction in sewer rate or potential reduction will not happen until more information is gathered. To sort of drive that process and to look at other things, including privatized properties off the tax roll, and what upward adjustment those need to receive. I would like to set a date now, early in January, to have a public hearing on sewer rates.
Perfect.
So moved.
Do we have a date?
Date.
You just want to set a date early.
Gina,
Tell you what, let's take this week, we'll figure the date out, and we'll announce it at the next meeting,
Okay,
okay? But I think that's key. And we'll do something, at the next meeting, we'll also announce the first forum for consolidation, those 2 meetings. And I appreciate you pushing that issue, because that's what we do want, and I appreciate you consistently coming at it. Bob?
No.
You sure? Senior?
What's that?
Senior center?
Senior Center, we're required to have a fence, 6-foot fence around the property. I talked to John today, and he mentioned the fact that we do need it. I didn't think we did, but.
Before we can open, or we need it?
What's that?
Before we can open?
No, we can open it, and as long as we're in the process of putting the fence around, I don't think it's a safety issue. The only issue is with the neighbor, people coming through the yard. It's gotta be 6-foot fence, and it's gotta be, separate the property from the property adjacent to it. Other than that, I think it's just cleaning it out. Gina had mentioned maybe that Evas can come in and give it a good cleaning before we, and that's it. I believe everything's done in there, and it's heat's on, and it's running, and.
Can we open it next week?
I don't see why not, as long as we have logistically people that can
Right.
manage it, I don't see why not.
Gina, when you went there, any problems you see that we have to remedy before opening?
Just,
Just what I explained to Bob with the
Yeah.
cleaning
Right.
in the bathrooms.
Okay. I see you leaning, no?
We'll manage the key.
Yes, just at this time, this is going to be a work in progress. At this time, what we are looking at as far as the senior center is the police will be opening and closing it from 10 to 3. That is the suggested time from seniors that we've talked to. At this time, we did have a senior step forward and volunteer to be the liaison for the village in charge of the senior center. It cannot be a volunteer, but we don't have it in our budget, so we have definitely talked to them about working that into the budget for next year. Obviously, what has to happen with this is it needs to be under recreation. It needs to have a department head responsible for that building and for what goes on in that building. So we need to move it to recreation. That's gonna be this board's job, to work with the town board to get it there. Also working with the county to make sure that the restrictions of the 10-year for the grant that we received are, we can actually physically change it, turn it over. If not, we can still own the building with the rec department just in charge of the program as well as the maintaining of the building and the people in the building. So that's where we're at right now. As far as activities after 3 o'clock, we're gonna work with the seniors on, if they want specific things after 3 o'clock, they'll be working with the police on opening and closing. Keys will not be distributed out to 50 people. We have to understand this is it's not a senior-owned building. It is a village-owned building that the seniors are utilizing. We are responsible for it. We have to pay the bills, so we're not giving out 50 keys. As it goes, day by day, we'll be tweaking the process as we get more input from the seniors and we get more input from the people representing the village that have to deal with it, whether it's cleaning, maintaining, opening and closing. But we wanna get it open, we can't wait. We've done, I think, everything we can, and I have to thank Bob Mellon for taking a lot of extra time out, not just coordinating, but him going in there, his son going in there, doing electrical work for free. And the hours that were put in, also to the Galoos and the other volunteers,
Sables,
the Sables,
McCarthy.
the Sables, Mr. McCarthy,
uh,
There's more.
Walter, there's a whole bunch of them.
Ray Alter, and several others. Again, the volunteerism in the community, it comes out often. But we don't wanna wait any longer. We feel we're at the point we can go ahead. So look in the paper for the opening date. The board will talk about it. We'll try to make sure we get a date. It'll be next week. We'll try to get your information by tomorrow. But it'll be open and we'll go from there. If for some reason something explodes and we have to close it, that'll happen. But it's time to get it open, it's time to let the seniors use it. And we're moving forward. Bob, did you have anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you so much. No other public comment?
You can go first.
Thank you. My name is Brian Elwood. Speaking of donations, I want to thank the PBA for extremely generous donation to the center. It was dropped off by Sergeant Lavelle and greatly appreciated.
Excellent.
While I was campaigning for James Skoufis, I was in the town and I was in the village, and instead of just dropping stuff off, people would come to the door and start talking about different issues. The biggest issue came about is finances, both on the state level, government level, village level, and town level. Since the reception of these meetings aren't that great, people were saying, you know, they can't really hear people. I was wondering if the board would start to take the initiative to write up some things about the finances in our village. They could be placed in the paper, people can read them. Some of the issues that came up, people want to clarify the ratings of our bonds, the financial status of this village. I'll explain the terms of the reserve line versus contingency line. The other one, Mr. McCormick's name was mentioned about the infrastructure in our village. The question came up about how do you and others plan to deal with the infrastructure issues that face this village, and where would you find the money? So in essence, basically people are saying they would like more information put in writing about the finances, and they can read them, because they can't hear from here, they just can't. And I think we owe it to the residents to give them an idea of what goes on with our finances. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Real quick for those that can hear, Eddie back there?
Yep.
Only because with the 2 or 3 questions with the finances, I think it's important to understand some of the leaps that have been made over the last year and a half, particularly our bond rating and the reserves and contingency. Briefly, if you could just give us a quick thing on our bond rating.
I had a conference call with our S&P representative. It's basically a group. And S&P is a major bond rating agency in the country. And after the conference call and a review of the village finances, they increased our bond rating. And when I say increased, meaning that our cost of borrowing got better because we had a better rating. We were at an A+ rating, we're now at a AA- rating. And that has certainly helped a lot in our borrowing as of recent, where we went out on the open market with our borrowings and we're given bids from companies like Jeffries and Roosevelt and Cross, and these are regional and national financial arms that are actually bidding for our bond debt. And we were able to drop about 100 basis points off. A basis point basically is 1/100th. So if you have a 1%, let's say you have a 1.5% interest rate, 100 basis points brings you down to a 0.5%. Okay, so it's a full 1% lowering of your rates. And when you're borrowing $1 million plus at 1%, there's 10 grand right there right in your pocket, okay, back in the village's coffers to use for other things. So a lot of the bond rating is extremely important, but part of the rating agencies, they have to feel a confidence in their conversation and backed up with facts to be willing to make that change. As you see, there's a lot of other municipalities and agencies in the state that actually have had downgrades. It's very difficult to keep a AAA rating under today's conditions because of the long-term obligations for our retirement system and our police retirement system, healthcare. Even though this state is probably stronger than a lot of states in the country as far as its pension fund, it's still, if you look at some of the actuarial numbers going out, and actuarial being what are the municipalities in the state going to owe pensioners 20 years from now, it's staggering, the amount of money. And yet, the village here is in a better position. The one thing that the rating agency did hit us on is we have too much debt. And that hurt us. Having $7, $8 million in municipal debt for the size of our municipality is above average. A lot of it's because a lot of infrastructure improvements were delayed, and this board ended up having to pick up a lot of that and borrow a lot of money to get that repaired. So hopefully that will smooth itself out over time. But as far as the fiscal management, as far as the properties, the total aggregate property values in the village, that certainly has helped. And I think the more the village leadership is focused on the financial end, as Mr. Allward said, the better off it's going to be for potential future financial obligations and financial decisions.
I appreciate the focus, Mike, but the main gist of my conversation with
Put it in
people, put it in writing so they can, and understand it.
Right.
I mean, this one gentleman was using terms I didn't understand what he was talking about. I agreed with him, but I didn't understand what he said. He was using all kinds of fiscal terms and things like that. But the majority of people just don't clearly understand the finances of the village, or the town, or the state for that matter. So it's gonna be really clear,
Right,
clarified.
we've got to make it so they can understand it, and just really quick with the contingency and reserves, one thing with the contingency and reserve funds, one, a lot of the stuff that Ed talked about happens behind the scenes, and the board actually doesn't really see much of it, we just get the benefit of it, after we get a report that Ed has gone ahead and talked to these three people, we have a better this, we have a better that. A lot of work has been done in that area this last year and a half. Another work that during the budget process for the board, that we have changed, is we have been putting a lot more money aside for reserve and contingency funds, because it was a rarity that we saw that in previous budgets. Definitely not near what has to have been there. And the good thing is exactly what we're gonna be discussing later, is because we set aside the money in the fire department area, even with a truck going down and a lot of money having to be spent, we are gonna be able to rebound from that because we were fiscally responsible and set money aside.
Describe the difference between contingency and reserve. The reserve is for a specific
Right.
dedicated fund to be built up to make an improvement in the future. A contingency is for funds, for things that we don't know, which may occur, that we have to be prudent stewards of the public money. Maybe if you explain that to the public, they wouldn't understand that. They would help.
What I'll do is I'll package all these three things. If we don't have room this week, maybe for next week, we can put something short in. She's cringing. You can't see that, and I really want to put it on film. But the cringe, like, don't put those words in my paper, please. I will do what I can. We will get it out to the
But I
public.
like to see it ongoing, not just these
I
three
agree.
issues.
I agree.
Yeah.
Can they contact the village if they have any questions?
Please, that's something that we're looking for, where people may be like, oh, why are they coming back? I don't care if you come back 20 times. If you're pointing out a problem and we're able to fix it, that's a win for everybody. just exactly what happened with these people that pointed out the problem over here in a bus stop area. Now that's gonna, a school bus stop area, that's gonna be fixed, now we move on. And win, 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 we're gonna keep, without the help of the village, without people, the villagers, without people continuously pointing out problems, like the gentleman in the hat behind you, who's gonna point out another one, I'm sure, we can't fix it if we don't know it's broken. Ed, thank you so much.
Yeah, just one more thing I'll throw, you know, we do have, Mr. Elwood, we do have budget hearings coming up in the new year. That's an ideal time, that's an open forum also for any questions to be asked. Just to add on about reserve fund and contingency funds tend to be focused on the year of the budget that you're at. You normally set up contingencies to give you a little bit of an insurance policy financially for your current budget. Reserve funds tend to be date in the future. So you're building up reserve funds for future multiple year expectations. Your contingency is annual, and that's a big difference, okay?
Thank you.
Sure.
Jimmy?
You have nothing tonight? Oh my goodness. My name is Mr. Francis.
Not at all, sir. It's all you.
Wow. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, trustees.
Good
Apologize,
evening.
I came over late. I had another meeting and I'm late for another one also. But with all that being said, I wanted to be here. I walked in, I heard you guys talking a little bit about speaking with David Church. I spoke with David that night also. Pleasure of being at a solar conference. It was very informative and about things that villages and towns can do. I'll try to get you some of the information and it's just things that can benefit the village. So with anything, with all that being said, I was at a town meeting and I asked some of these same questions because they were praising themselves about meetings with
We're good at that.
with meetings with this board about consolidation. So I guess the first question is, with the consolidation like of the DPW, how are we gonna maintain the village roads? Like, is the town gonna take them over, or are we gonna have a district that the village residents are gonna have to pay into this district to maintain these roads?
No. Town will take it over.
So the town will take them over? And
We will, the end result will be a dissolution of the village government. Highland Falls will still be here. You will still have your Highland Falls addresses. Highland Falls will be everywhere. The only thing that's dissolving is the government entity here in the village hall. And with that, the town will be responsible for all the departments that are now under the village.
we talked about a lighting district down in Fort Gunn. Will we have one of those here?
That's generally part of the consolidation plan. You've got to address all of that. In fact, the planning aspect of it, you can go for a referendum. The citizens can cause a referendum to be voted on, but even if that happens, you still have to do the full-blown plan before it goes for a second referendum. And it's that planning process that is, very intense, and you've got to look at all the things that you're raising now.
So it's possible we'll have a lighting district that the people in this general area would have to pay for, correct?
It's possible, but.
I don't see that as being one of our,
It's
No, no.
pre-existing, it's already here.
I
Take
think
it as
it
is.
will be, if you're talking lighting district,
Yeah,
I would think that it may be sectioned out, but it'll still come under the town and they'll pay the bill like they always did. And it would be whatever the cost is here, 70,000 plus for Montgomery, and
right.
it'll be paid.
so they wouldn't break it down to like individual areas?
I wouldn't think so.
We're not looking to do
Using
that.
X amount of
No,
watts?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay, I'm just asking the question, you know?
Nope. And this is not something, the reason why, that's not a piece that we've actually discussed right now. Ed?
I just want to add to this, basically, most of the costs will go to the A fund, and the A fund will be town-wide, including village. The village essentially would become a hamlet. And a good example of a village like this is the town of Lloyd, which has the hamlet of Highland, which has a main street, has a relatively congested area with buildings right next to each other and so on. but they're a hamlet, and there's no government per se of the hamlet. It's run by the town of Lloyd. Most of the cost, the only cost that is apparent right now that would be borne on only by the villagers would be the debt.
Right.
The debt does not carry over as an aid fund item. It would be a special levy to the village taxpayers until that debt's paid off.
What we're looking at when you talk about districts also, as far as even a lighting district, for those people that think that, well, we should have our own lighting district because Fort Montgomery has less lights, people in Fort Montgomery do utilize the market, Shades, Highland Falls Market. Really, we are one community. It's just there are different pieces in the different communities. So we are not looking for specific things. The only thing that we're looking to keep at the end of consolidation, we don't want it, but we have to take it, is the debt.
That's why I was just bringing up the questions, just trying to educate the public.
Exactly,
I mean,
and
it's-
educate us.
And it's a great answer, though, now people will know. So then, what I asked down there also was about the police department. Obviously, they told me the DPW was got put on the back burner because there's a lot more involved with the DPW than it is for the police department. So with the police department, I asked them, what is the anticipated cost savings estimate so far? And the answer they gave me, and I'm sure the one that you're gonna give me is,
What did they give you?
let's hear yours, and I'll tell you what they
The
told me.
the numbers that we received in the first meeting was a savings of, with the Christmas list as is, savings of $300,000.
All right, so they wouldn't give me a number,
Oh,
just so you.
nice move.
All right,
Good move, Jim.
so then I asked them, I said, once we consolidate the police departments, I said, and the town takes it over, will we have full-time officers like there are in the village now, or will it be part-time like the town has now?
Combination.
They wouldn't even answer that for me, just so you know.
You playing with me, Jim?
No.
These are all
I'm just- I'm
open.
at-
Right, this is all open to the public, so it's not, we're not giving away secrets.
That's why,
What we are looking at is a combination, and I believe both boards were very comfortable with the combination. And even though right now the Fort Montgomery only has a part-time force, they recognize as one town the need for full-time police, really in the village, it's a fact.
and then the easy one that I told them that I was gonna ask was,
Did they answer it? Tell me that first.
yes, they did, to a certain degree. I said, what building is going to be used for this new department?
Were you here earlier?
He wasn't.
Okay, we actually discussed that.
Okay.
That wasn't discussed in the meeting yet. That's our next step. The chief and Chief Quinn are going to continue to work on personnel, to come together with a final presentation for the boards on personnel. Right now, the chief is gonna go back to Jack also and start talking about equipment and vehicles. We are gonna move forward on the building along with the town, and along with our building department, possibly the engineer, to talk about the three possibilities that exist right now in my mind, and in the board's mind, to my knowledge, is either this building, that building, or a third building. So we've gotta look at all the options, find out what's best. The one thing, and we may find out, and utilizing the police's input as well, as to where they think the most effective building will be for the community. But at the same time, selfish me is looking at the two existing buildings and the fact that we have the opportunity to get approximately $400,000 when we combine the two forces. We could utilize that to upgrade either building better. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is to be able to actually possibly utilize the third floor here one day. Maybe the elevator, that'd be a beautiful thing. So that money could go to that, which again, we're not using taxpayer money, and now our building is, with other monies, gonna become whole.
So, and the town supervisor answered that more or less the same way that you guys were looking at it. So I was happy with his answer for sure, and yours. So, right now, the town had paid to have the 911 system put in place, and they had to pay extra money to get the tower set up. Are we as village residents gonna have to help absorb some of that cost, even though it's already paid for?
The Did you wanna say something?
The answer is no. The revenue comes in, it's part of a combined budget, so everybody benefits from the rent.
Okay. All right, so then, next question. You got-
You were ready.
Oh, yeah, I was in the back, scribbling away.
I really didn't mean, when I said I wanted questions, I didn't actually mean I want questions.
So, here's another easy question.
Trivial pursuit, Ellen.
What's gonna happen to all the village assets once it gets combined? I.e., the buildings that the residents have paid for with all of the bonds that we have put forth. All the roads, the infrastructure, the dam, the water department, the sewer department. What's gonna happen to all those assets? Say we were to, and I know there's been talk about privatizing the sewer department. True?
Yes,
Are we going to sell that building to them, and then can we use that money to
No.
pay down the bonds?
Nobody's selling anything.
the only sale that was mentioned in the consolidation was an example that the gentleman from the state brought up. And that was if we chose to utilize the town or a different building as the police department, and we consolidated, and we had final consolidation of the town and village, that this being a village-owned building, we could potentially sell to pay down our debt. He said that is an option. What has to be taken in consideration is there's gonna be a back and forth between the town and village of assets and liabilities. So there are liabilities that the town's going to be taking on that we may have to say, well, because you're taking on those liabilities, here's assets to go along with it. Like when you consolidate, they're gonna be taking on the liabilities of DPW and the roads, and as far as assets, they will get our equipment and then the numbers will be worked out at that point. And that's for the numbers people, and that's for the people that we're applying for this grant for. It's better that an outside person gives us the majority of the information. So it's not, the village wants everything, we're not gonna no, the outside person says, this is what's fair. Do we all agree? Great. And that's why we're going for that grant.
Okay, excellent. And so, in this year's contingency budget that you had, right, you had some money set aside?
For?
In the contingency budget,
Contingency is 120 grand.
right, you had some set aside this year?
Okay.
Right. Is that what we're using, that money, like, for property maintenance issues, i.e. tearing that building down? Is that where that money comes out of?
Okay? Here's the beauty of it. I don't need to know that, Jim, because we have surrounded ourselves with phenomenal staff.
But the cost of tearing down the building does get applied to the property tax.
Right, but we still have to
And the
pay-
county makes us
We have to deal with it for a
whole,
year.
but, there's a
The
gap.
county buys the tax lien.
Right.
So whatever the lien is, the county buys. If the lien is 5,000, they pay 5. If it's more, they pay more.
But.
Where the money came out of it.
But if I may though, we still had to pay that first.
We paid up front
We-
out
we
of,
paid the contract.
right, out of,
That's fund balance that will be replenished when the re-levy is made on the property's taxes.
Yeah.
And
Fund
then the
balance.
county makes us whole, and then the county either gets the money from that landowner or they auction off the property and they get the money.
Yeah, no, that I understand, I was just wondering if,
you wanna know what a county came out of.
yeah,
That's
is that in
fun-
our contingency?
That's, no.
No? You have somewhere else, we have some money
We have
to
something
take
called
care
a
of.
fund balance. Fund balance is our savings account. So in our ongoing activities year after year, if we're doing things right and we have more assets to liabilities, meaning that we've taken in more revenue than we paid out in expenses, the remainder of that will carry over into the next fiscal year. And that's because that becomes so-called your fund balance. So you can look at it as almost like your savings account at the end of the year. So in a normal routine of budgetary processes, your fund balance should grow, albeit some grow, some municipalities have healthy fund balances, some have, good example is a county. The county several years ago had a $60 million fund balance, and now it's down to 10, because the county was spending more money than it was taking in revenue. So in our case, we have fund balance that's estimated around $500,000-ish, depending on at what point in the budget process you're in, because we've set aside $240,000 of our fund balance to act as revenue for this year's budget. Doesn't mean that's our entire fund balance, it's a portion of it that the board felt was enough to help with bringing in the revenue for this year's expenses. So what we did is, because we know that this money is going to come to us, and because the board felt that it was an important enough issue that this building gets knocked down because of quality of life, all the other issues related to that, there was a decision, and I believe rightfully, one of the few decisions that you make with a fund balance, to take that fund balance and say, okay, we're gonna allocate a portion of that savings account, and we're gonna apply it toward paying off this vendor who knocked the building down, with the understanding that at the back end, we're gonna get it in a re-levy.
Yeah, the county's gonna give it back to us, I understand that. So, but, that, I believe was like $47,000 or something like that,
Correct,
to tear that down. So that doesn't hurt our budget though, right?
Yeah, it's.
So that had nothing to do with budget shortfalls at this point in time? in the
No,
process?
that itself, because we didn't use budgetary funds for it, it didn't directly, it could have if the board decided to do something differently. If the board said, take our entire contingency, $58,000, which has already paid out some things through the year anyway, and said, okay, we're gonna apply that all toward it, then it would have had budgetary implications, because it would have taken all the contingency money and spent it on that activity.
Okay, great, excellent.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was the last one, right?
Could be. It could be. Actually, no, as far as the planning process for consolidating the codes and things like that, spoke with David Church, and I spoke with, Ms. Murphy. It's not a couple hour
Oh, no.
Right.
process.
No, not at all.
I spoke with Charlie and I said, you know, we're looking at maybe minimum 40 hours, you know, setting down for, 6 to 8 hour days to do it, so we get it right.
I agree.
And I have no problem volunteering my time.
Nice, thank you.
Before you go, can you keep us up to speed, get us up to speed on hotel? How's that process coming?
They are going down the home stretch right now.
Good.
They had a few extra changes that they had to make. They, I believe, have made those. The-
Major ones, did the environmental impact fund, did it have to be adjusted, or?
Do they have their secret complete?
Seeker's complete.
Yeah, okay.
As far as the environmental, no. There was a few questions about, the materials on the building that were brought up during the public hearing. They gave us an extra page to the set that actually calls out, the materials
Right.
and the colors, in the elevations, so we know that. And it should be compatible with what we spoke about in the secret process. With that being said, they have some bonds that they have to put in place.
Right.
There's some maintenance agreements. They have to work on all of these, along with our engineer and our attorney. We're gonna, write those up along with their attorney. And then it must, because then it's gonna become a village, attorney issue, because the village is gonna be in charge of these bonds and these maintenance agreements.
Okay.
I.e. the, maintenance on their stormwater management. If for some reason they do not do what they have to do and the village has to go in, we have to make sure there's an agreement that they are going to pay.
Right.
So we're working on the agreements for that, and the bonds obviously for, work not only on the property but outside the property.
This is the drainage prior to construction.
The drainage, and say, for example, they start working on the project and something happens, goes belly up. But they put the foundation in, we have a 10,000 square foot hole in the ground that's a swimming pool. Well, it's a safety hazard. So we have to look at that to make sure that in the bonds that they're gonna have set up, that we can address that.
Yep.
And at least fill in some things like that.
Yep.
So it's all things that the village attorney is gonna get to review, and that process is moving forward.
Excellent.
That's
Right.
good.
I know he's gonna get the formal stuff, if there's any chance of getting us short, with the effects of, like, say, the drainage, what they have to do for the drainage, things that are gonna affect outside of their property that the village has to deal with.
Well, that's what the bonds are for.
Right,
That's-
if we could just get a quick, 2 or 3 list of that for the board, so that we can keep an eye on what's happening on our end, that'd be awesome.
Our meeting is on the 25th.
Don't do that to me,
Tuesday.
don't do that
If
to
you would
me.
like to stop by.
Don't
Is that a
do
week
that
from
to
tomorrow?
me.
Yes.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday. We're early because of Thanksgiving.
Right, okay.
But, they're on our agenda, like I said, that process, we discussed it in depth at our last meeting. Hopefully, like I said, they're in the final stretch right here. Everything else is gonna be, on the lawyers, the bonds, maintenance fees, things like that. As far as the plan itself, the layout, there should be just that to do.
Excellent.
Every claim on a bond is a lawsuit. See if you can, in the bond, have a guarantee that if the municipality pays in the claim on the bond, that the bond also pays the legal fees. Or if the bond won't, the principal will.
Take that to the bank.
Want to make that note?
Could you make a note of that and, either email it to me or at least,
In every one of the circumstances where there's been a large development, my involvement is people want to put up a bond because it transfers responsibility away from themselves to the bonding company. And the bonding company spends its life defending claims, not paying, defending.
I see. So this is something that I'm sure, Elise will get together and, because obviously it has to be reviewed by the village attorney also. Get back and forth, whatever changes need to be made in that, they need to be made, to make sure we are covered as a village.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right?
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jim. Free lunch. November 22nd. Family Fun Day, November 21st.
Don't forget.
And December 6th and 7th, the Nutcracker. On the 23rd is the Ecumenical Thanksgiving Service, United Methodist. And on the 23rd as well, that's at 4, on the 23rd as well, on 10:30, is the decorating of the village. If you miss them at the library, 10:30, go to Lady Cliff Park. That's the main center of it. There'll also be a memorial, but Lady Cliff Park is the main area. Yes?
Don't want to forget Charlie wanted to make a motion on the fire department reserve.
Yeah, with Ed.
Did you take off? Is he there?
He's here.
He's right.
Charlie has a question.
Ed?
He's coming.
It's caught in the back section. The bad kids. It's the back. Yeah, you turn, he's just trying to show the beard.
What kind of a motion do we need to act on this evening in order to pay necessary expenses for the fire department?
Okay, how much did you want to set aside? Because the fire department has 25,000 set aside for equipment, 15,000 set aside for a truck, and 5,000 set aside for a vehicle. So if you're looking at a straight line scenario, what I think would work better financially would for us to do a budget adjustment where we would increase fund balance by a certain amount, increase the fire department contractual by that same amount, and then the board will decide not to set up a reserve for that same quantity, and that money then becomes fund balance. Because you won't expend those funds, it automatically goes back into the fund balance. So the cleanest way to do it would be to do a budget adjustment.
I would like to make the motion that we make the budget adjustment in the amount of $20,000.
20,000? Okay, so your codes are going to be, your fund balance code, which is 40.5990. And that's going to be an increase of 20,000. And then your fire department 04 is 3410.04, and that will be increased budget adjustment of 20,000. So both of those will go up 20,000. The board is making a conscious statement that the actual reserve fund will, whichever reserve fund you determine that you want to adjust down, when you establish that reserve fund, it will be 20,000 less than the amount budgeted. Does it make sense? Okay. So if that's the motion, then those would be the codes that we would adjust. And then we'll fill out a document, a budget adjustment sheet that I'll sign off on with the board's vote, and then we'll make that adjustment.
Overall, of all those adjustments, at the end of the day, the amount of money that the village has voted to spend in its budget for the year, your fiscal year, doesn't change. That's an important element that, number one, the public should know, but also as our obligation.
Well, the reserve for the engine, you had 25,000 set aside this year.
Reserve for equipment, not for the engine,
For
for equipment.
Oh, okay, all right. What do
And
we have-
15,000 for the engine.
Okay, I mean, do we deplete the engine reserve fund and?
It's up to you. What you could do is you could take 10 out of each to make up the 20.
We still have to have a reserve fund established this year for the engine if we deplete
Correct,
all.
correct. So you could do an engine reserve of 5,000 and an equipment reserve of 15, or any combination, however you want.
We have to say
do
that
it.
tonight?
It's recommended that you, at least for the record, state what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's always subject to board change later on if so circumstances change
Right.
it.
At the end of your fiscal year, you can modify each of your line items,
Right.
so long as the end item is the same number that you voted as your budget.
You mean the bottom line?
Right, the bottom line.
Okay.
Yeah, your revenue.
515?
Take 15 out of the engine,
15 out of equipment,
out of.
5 out of engine.
5 out of engine? Okay. Does that sound like it's gonna meet their needs, Charlie?
Still leaves 10 in equipment and 10 in engine.
Bottom
Okay,
line is we have to.
there was a certain logic in taking more out of the engines.
Is that what you want?
Yeah,
Since
that's
we're
what-
All right, 10
extending
out
the
of,
life.
10 out of engine,
Yeah.
10 out of engine, 10 out of equipment.
Okay.
10 out of engine, 10 out of
10?
equipment.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Better?
that makes sense.
Okay, so for purposes of when these reserve funds are established, the record will show, once you approve this, that 10,000 will be lowered from each of those reserve fund line items.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so
We're gonna do that right now.
okay.
Do I have a motion?
You do you need the numbers from that on this?
Well, actually,
You basically, you just want to increase, your budget
Right.
adjustment's going to be an increase in fund balance, which is 0000.5990 of 20,000, and an increase in your fire department budget contractual, which is 3410.04. Those two line items will go up by 20,000, that's what your motion would be approving.
So moved.
Second.
all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Anything else? No? Thank you so much for coming. Any motion to go into executive session for,
Wait a minute.
Did you,
Did you vote yes or no?
He just said no, nobody said opposed.
he
I
was
didn't hear that.
asking.
I
if
did
there was
that.
one-
Nobody
I
said
did
opposed,
that.
nobody
I did it.
opposed.
Nobody, yeah.
3-0 is
You're
what
paying
I
attention.
wrote.
yeah,
That's what I wrote.
there were no opposed.
Just wanted to make
Come on
sure.
now.
Yeah, I just thought
Whoa.
you said opposed too.
I just heard that the people at home don't hear all
I think that was you saying that. Nice move.
Well, let's have an instant replay here.
Yeah, I will play that back. I'll get vindication. At this time, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and their participation. I do need a motion to move into executive session for contractual reasons. Personnel reasons, my son. Have that motion? Yes. Thank you.
Second,
All right, all's in favor?
aye.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a Hamlet. I love Shakespeare. I'm pretty excited about that.
I know you're gonna get those